Have you noticed that the lunchtime deal you used to grab for a fiver now leaves you with change from a tenner, and the sandwich itself seems emptier? Like you're paying more for less food and worse service? If you feel like your local high street or retail park food run has become a calculated raid on your wallet, you're not imagining it. You are the victim of a decade-long strategy cooked up in boardrooms you'll never see, designed to treat your dinner as a financial instrument to be optimized, not a meal to be enjoyed. The game has been rigged, and in this video, we're going to expose exactly who rigged it and how they did it. By the time we're done, you're going to know more than 90% of shoppers about what is actually happening behind the counter. You'll find out which massive, beloved British brands are quietly shrinking your portions while hiking prices at triple the rate of inflation. I'll show you lab data and expert opinions that reveal which healthy options are actually packed with cheap fillers, and which premium items are just clever marketing for gray, processed junk. We'll break down the secret business models, the private equity takeovers, the debt loading, and the franchise lotteries that explain why one branch of your favorite chain is spotless and fast, while the one down the road is the absolute dive with a 20-minute wait and a broken ice cream machine. And yes, the most shocking betrayal, the one brand that has sat at the bottom of customer satisfaction surveys for years while telling you they're loving it, that comes near the end. But before we name and shame, we need to understand the basic chemistry of this betrayal. Because fast food is essentially an engineering challenge. How do you deliver consistent, safe food at incredible speed for a price that feels like a bargain? It's a delicate balance of three things: ingredients, labor, and technology. A quality operation invests in all three. They use fresh, never frozen beef, hand-cut potatoes, and staff who are paid well enough to actually care if your burger is upside down. It's like a well-oiled machine. But the industry tricks are all about cheating that balance without you noticing. Think of it like a car. A quality chain is a sturdy, reliable hatchback. The rubbish chains are trying to sell you a go-kart with a plastic body kit, charging you executive saloon prices, and hoping the shiny paint distracts you from the fact that the engine is held together with sticky tape. The main weapon in their arsenal is filler. Why use 100% chicken breast when you can use 60% chicken and 40% a processed slurry of skin, water, and binding agents, all pumped up with salt and stabilizers to make it feel plumper than it is? They call it textured vegetable protein or hydrolyzed proteins, which is just corporate speak for we added cheap industrial gunks so we didn't have to add meat. They do it with beef too, adding soy or oat fillers to stretch the mince. Another classic is the shrinkflation double bluff. They make the burger patty slightly smaller, use a tinier bun to make the patty look normal size, and then, here's the kicker, they increase the price. It's a masterclass in psychological warfare. You're left feeling slightly less full, slightly more annoyed, and significantly poorer. And don't even get me started on the frozen shortcuts. Freezing isn't inherently bad, but it's often used to mask low-quality ingredients that were processed months ago and miles away, losing all flavor and texture in the process. It's the difference between a freshly baked loaf from a local baker and a slice of long-life supermarket white bread that tastes like it's apologizing for existing. And the final trick is the franchise lottery, which is a whole systemic problem we'll expose later, but essentially, it means the brand name on the sign is no guarantee of what's inside. It's a rigged system, designed to extract maximum cash from you for minimum effort. And now, it's time to show you exactly who is playing you for a fool. Right, let's get into the absolute muck of it. We are starting at the bottom of the pile, and trust me, it is a long way down. Number 7 on our list of shame is Subway. There was a time when Subway convinced the British public that a foot-long sub was basically health food. You would walk in, watch the staff member in the visor assemble it right in front of your eyes, pile on the sweet corn and red onion, and feel like a fitness guru. That Subway is dead and buried. The founder died back in 2015, ownership drifted into the hands of corporate suits, and by 2024, the whole family-owned legacy ended when the brand was bought out by the private equity giant Rourke Capital for a staggering sum. They loaded billions of pounds of debt onto the company to fund the deal. Debt means severe cost-cutting means miserable shops, and miserable shops mean empty tables. In the UK, high street branches have been quietly vanishing, and the food itself has turned into a proper tragedy. The independent consumer, watchdog Which, has tracked endless complaints about quality drift. When you bite into it now, the meat feels paper-thin, the lettuce is watery, and the bread has this bizarre, overly sweet texture that tastes like a sponge saying sorry. And that legendary 5-pound foot-long value that built the brand is completely gone. The healthy choice quietly became an expensive, hollow joke. If you must go, the Italian BMT toasted with every free veg is your safest bet, but skip the steak and cheese. You are paying a massive premium for a scoop of gray, lukewarm sadness. Moving along the high street, we hit number 6, McDonald's. Remember when a trip to the Golden Arches felt like a proper Friday treat? When the smell of those salty fries alone could turn a rubbish day around? Unlike other brands, McDonald's didn't vanish from our town centers. It did the exact opposite, staying on every corner while aggressively raiding your bank account. The food didn't suddenly fall apart. The math did. Between 2014 and 2024, price tracking data across UK menus showed that McDonald's practically doubled its prices for core items, a massive spike that completely outpaced regular UK inflation. A simple savor menu item that used to be a quid is suddenly creeping toward £3. A Big Mac meal used to be the ultimate budget solver. Now it's pushing pub lunch prices. And the public has noticed. According to the 2025 Customer Satisfaction Indexes, McDonald's scored dreadfully, finishing right near the bottom for quick service brands. Even their own corporate bosses admitted that lower-income customers, the very people who kept the lights on for decades, are walking away in droves. The Big Mac isn't inherently terrible, it's just that it costs a fortune more than it did a few years back while tasting completely identical. They didn't ruin the burger, they ruined the deal. If you're buying, check the app for coupons, because paying full menu price without a digital discount is a total mug's game. If you already feel like checking your own kitchen cupboards or rethinking your lunch run, hit that subscribe button right now, because the corporate corner cutting gets significantly worse from here. At number 5, we find Burger King. The home of the Whopper built its entire British empire around one beautiful promise: flame-grilled beef, your way. But while McDonald's at least tried to launch cheaper digital deals to drag people back through the doors, Burger King largely let its UK estate sit in total maintenance mode. The culprit here is conglomerate neglect, run by a massive international parent company that treats it as just another line on a spreadsheet. Many British branches went years without a single lick of paint or a digital upgrade. The drive-thrus became notoriously slow, and the financial toll followed right on cue. Major franchise operators handling dozens of UK sites faced severe financial distress recently, triggering sudden closures across high streets and retail parks. A minor sales bump from a marketing campaign called Reclaim the Flame tells you everything you need to know. You don't try to reclaim a flame unless you've already let the fire go completely out. The Whopper itself remains a genuinely good burger. That flame-grilled char gives it a real edge, but the experience around it is broken. Getting a cold burger handed to you by an exhausted worker in a tired, sticky shop after a 12-minute wait stops feeling like a treat. Order the classic Whopper exactly as advertised, but skip anything fried that's been sweating under the heat lamps for an hour. Let's talk about chicken, which brings us to number 4, KFC. The Colonel used to absolutely dominate the British fried chicken landscape. For an entire generation of Brits, a weekend bucket of original recipe was an institution. Not anymore. The problem is simple. They blinked, and the competition blew right past them. While newer, sharper chicken brands spent the last decade perfecting their crunch and scaling up across the UK, KFC drifted into a corporate daydream. In recent customer satisfaction surveys, KFC suffered one of the sharpest drops in approval ratings, losing massive ground to rivals. UK same-store sales have stagnated, and several older high street locations have quietly closed down. When the entire chicken market is booming in Britain and your specific brand is shrinking, the problem isn't the market, it's you. The original recipe still has that classic 11 herbs and spices magic when you happen to get it fresh, but the real issue is total lottery-style consistency. One drive-thru nails it. The next branch hands you a box of grease-soaked, lukewarm disappointment that stains the cardboard gray. The recipe remains a corporate secret, but the reason to choose it over the competition has completely vanished. Stick to the classic pieces if you see them coming fresh out of the fryer, but avoid those pre-wraps and soggy box bowls that look like they've given up on life. Finally, at number 3, the most trusted, most iconic high street giant that has let everyone down, Greggs. Now, look, don't throw your phone at the wall just yet. I love a sausage roll as much as the next person, but we have to look at the cold, hard facts of what has happened to our national treasure. Greggs used to be the ultimate, untouchable bastion of British budget food. You could walk in with loose change from your sofa and walk out with a warm, flaky pasty and a coffee. But massive corporate expansion has fundamentally rewired the math. To satisfy shareholders and fund hundreds of new shops at petrol stations and train stations, the pricing structure has detonated. Price tracking data shows the cost of a standard sausage roll has climbed dramatically over the last several years, far faster than the cost of flour and pork. At the same time, real consumer reviews across platforms like Trustpilot are filled with the same repetitive nightmare: cold food. Because of a legal loophole regarding value-added tax on hot takeaway food, Greg's doesn't keep their bakes under heat lamps. They bake them, put them on the shelf, and if you arrive at 2 p.m., you are paying a premium price for a steak bake that has the internal temperature of a winter morning in Glasgow. The texture becomes rubbery, the pastry turns into a sad damp blanket, and the cost per bite no longer makes any sense when compared to a fresh supermarket meal deal. They didn't just raise the prices, they turned our daily ritual into a lottery, where you pay more for the privilege of eating a cold bake. It's the ultimate corporate heist wrapped in a paper bag. And now, what it was worth watching all the way through for. Let's leave the corporate greed behind and talk about the brands that actually respect your hard-earned cash. The transition from negative to positive is your reward, because a handful of operations looked at the inflation crisis, looked at the supply chain disasters, and decided to double down on quality instead of cutting corners. They faced the exact same economic pressures as the bottom of our list, but they chose to protect the food. First up on our good list, holding down the fort for incredible value and mainstream accessibility, is Leon. This brand entered the British high street with a completely different philosophy. Fast food doesn't have to be ultra-processed garbage. They built their entire approach around fresh, vibrant, Mediterranean-inspired ingredients, avoiding the industrial fillers and frozen shortcuts that plague the giant burger chains. When you order from Leon, you aren't getting gray mince that's been sitting under a heat lamp for 40 minutes. You're getting grilled chicken thighs, fresh avocado, and sauces made with actual herbs, rather than chemical stabilizers. The sensory experience is night and day compared to a sad high street sub. The chicken is tender and juicy, the baked waffle fries have a genuine potato texture with a perfect crunch, and you leave feeling satisfied rather than weighed down by a grease bomb. Let's do an honest price analysis. Yes, a meal here costs a bit more than a basic McDonald's Savor option. You're looking at around 8 to 10 pounds for a main and a side, but when you convert it to cost per use and nutritional density, the difference is completely justified. You are paying for real, unadulterated ingredients. Independent food critics and health specialists consistently give Leon high marks for transparency and ingredient integrity. It is the absolute ideal option for a busy professional or anyone on a mid-range budget who wants clean, real food on the go. The only real downside is that outside of major UK cities and motorway services, they can still be a bit tricky to find, but if you see one, it is miles ahead of the competition. Your best order is the classic Moroccan meatball hot box or the baked fries. Skip the ultralight snack packs if you're properly starving, moving up the ladder to number 2. We have a brand that has completely taken over the premium burger space in the UK, Honest Burgers. While the big corporate chains were busy shrinking their patties and hiding behind fancy marketing campaigns, Honest Burgers focused entirely on the British supply chain. They established their own dedicated butchery to maintain total control over the product. They use 100% British beef, served medium pink as standard, which tells you everything you need to know about their confidence in the hygiene and quality of their meat, something the giant fast food corporations would never dare to do with their frozen pucks. The sensory difference is phenomenal. When you bite into an Honest Burger, the meat literally melts. It has a rich, deep, beefy flavor that doesn't rely on a mountain of processed cheese or sugary burger sauce to taste good. And their rosemary salted chips are stuff of absolute legend, cut from real potatoes and fried to perfection every single day. Let's look at the cash. It is undeniably expensive compared to a standard drive-thru, with a burger and chips sitting around 14 to 16 pounds. But we must be honest about what that markup is for. You are paying for traceable, locally sourced British farming, craft execution, and staff who are paid properly to care about the food. Expert taste tests by major food publications consistently rank them at the very top of the market for texture and flavor consistency. It's perfect for a weekend treat or a proper sit-down lunch where you actually want to taste real beef. The single downside is the premium price tag, meaning it can't be an everyday lunch run, but as a reward meal, it passes every single quality check with flying colors. Best order is the classic Honest Burger with those rosemary fries. There is genuinely nothing to skip here. Finally, at the absolute number 1 spot, the champion of consistency, quality, and consumer respect in the UK, Five Guys. This brand does one thing and does it incredibly loud across the UK high street. They have a fierce, unbreakable commitment to freshness, Absolutely no freezers, no microwaves, and no heat lamps anywhere in their kitchens. You can stand at the counter and watch them hand-form the fresh beef patties and smash them directly onto the griddle. Their chips are cut from real potatoes right in front of you, with the origin of that day's British potatoes written clearly on a whiteboard by the door, and fried exclusively in pure peanut oil. The bag comes soaked through with grease from a massive extra scoop of free chips they throw in just because. The sensory verdict is unmatched in the fast casual space. The bun is soft and shiny, the beef is incredibly juicy with a perfect sear, and the custom toppings are completely free and freshly prepared. Let's do the honest financial breakdown. A run to Five Guys is undeniably a financial event. A double cheeseburger, fries, and a drink can easily push past 20 pounds. People frequently push back on this price, and customer satisfaction data shows some tension around the cost. But here's why the math works. The portions are massive. A little burger is actually a standard single patty, and a regular fry easily feeds 2 adults. When you break down the cost per serving to share, it suddenly competes directly with the inflated prices of the low-quality chains, except you are getting 0 faked ingredients. It is the ultimate gold standard of fast food because they refuse to sell out to the private equity model of cutting quality for margin. They kept the food exactly as it was supposed to be. Best order is a little cheeseburger with all the free salad toppings and a regular fry to share with a mate. Don't pretend you're saving money, but know that every single penny shows up on the tray. So, how do you navigate this corporate minefield next time you are standing on the high street or scanning a delivery app? Here are your concrete rules to stop being a victim of marketing tricks. Rule number 1. Apply the meal deal comparison test. Take the total price of the fast food combo you are about to buy and compare it directly to a standard supermarket meal deal from Marks & Spencer or Sainsbury's, or a fresh lunch from a local independent cafe. If a fast food bundle of frozen shortcuts costs virtually the same as a freshly prepared meal elsewhere, the value proposition has completely collapsed, and you are paying premium restaurant prices for assembly line food. Rule number 2. Spot the processed filler red flags on the label or digital allergen menus. Watch out for terms like textured vegetable protein, hydrolyzed poultry proteins, or excessive starches and sodium phosphates, as these are corporate codes for cheap industrial gunk used to stretch the meat and pump up the volume without adding real nutritional value. Rule number 3. Ignore the nostalgia and the clever television advertisement campaigns. When a struggling high street chain starts leaning heavily into its heritage, old mascots, or emotional storytelling, it is almost always a smokescreen designed to distract you from the fact that they have quietly altered the recipe or shrunk the portion size behind the scenes. Rule number 4. Check public consumer data and trust scores. Groups like which update customer satisfaction rankings regularly, and if a major food brand has spent the last consecutive 3 years sitting right at the absolute bottom of those tables, believe the data over the marketing glitz. Rule number 5. Reward total consistency over short-term novelty. The specific chain that delivers the exact same texture, warmth, and flavor every single time you visit is a company that has structurally invested in its staff training and supply chain, whereas a lottery-style experience means corporate has shifted all financial pressure onto the individual franchise operator. Rule number 6. Look at the ownership structure before you tap your contactless card. Ask yourself whether your money is going to a business still run by people focused on food quality, or if it is flowing into a private equity portfolio engineered entirely to service corporate debt and optimize partner cash flow. When you sum up everything happening across the British food landscape today, the reality becomes crystal clear. The general decline in high street food quality isn't down to bad luck, and it isn't an accidental byproduct of a tough economy. It is a deliberate, calculated business model where the industry bets that you will simply keep paying more money for less food out of sheer habit. But the moment you shift your thinking and stop viewing these massive corporate logos as trusted childhood friends, you regain every single bit of your power as a shopper. You realize that a slightly higher price tag for fresh, authentic ingredients at a place that respects its product is infinitely better value than a cheaper combo built on frozen shortcuts and industrial fillers. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this deep dive into the high street corporate a chine. If you found this useful, please share this video with a mate, especially that one friend who is still spending £10 a day on cold pasties or gray drive-thru burgers and wondering why they are always skint and unsatisfied. Drop a comment below right now and tell me, which of these specific brands is sitting in your town center right now, and have you noticed the portion shrinking? If you want to see how the big supermarket chains are playing the exact same tricks with their premium ranges, click on the video on your screen right now. Vote with the 20-pound note in your pocket because the good brands prove